What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel today. An upload which isn't a stream highlight, you'll be happy to hear. Now, as of today, on, what are we, the 21st of April, it has been announced that Ten Hag is going to be the manager of Manchester United next season, which is hopefully, cross fingers, a step in the correct direction. However, I'm going to do my Manchester United stay, sell, or loan, or whatever. Stay, sell, loan, and see a D. I don't even know whether there's options there. But yes, I think we've got as many players as we have here. I haven't created this list. This is one which is already done. If there is anyone missing, then I will sort of fill in the blanks once I have finished the actual tier list itself. So let's start with the goalkeepers then. Goalkeeping situation is going to be pretty tricky. I'm going to try and make this as realistic as possible. I will give my opinion on who I would keep or sell, and then I'll try and keep the realistic part here. Well, actually, no, we'll do my opinion first, and then we'll do a realistic one afterwards. So, for me, I think De Gea is a keep, and there's a reason for that. I know he's probably not the Ten Hag style of keeper, but he is a winner. He is a player in this team that knows what it's like to win a Premier League trophy. And I think that counts for a lot. I think he's got the right mentality of the football club. Could potentially be the next captain as well. I think there will be a new captain when Ten Hag gets to grips with the team. Who that will be yet, I'm not entirely sure. But I would be keeping De Gea. He's done fantastically this season. Yes, he's on a lot of money. But he's trusted between the posts, so I'd be keeping him. Henderson, for me, then, would go on loan. I think he needs a loan move to a club which is going to be pretty good. Obviously, he was on loan with Sheffield, who finished, 7th or 8th. But I think he needs a bigger move. And whether or not he wants to... I mean, he's not going to want to sit on the bench, right? So if De Gea stays, he'd probably go on loan or sold entirely. If De Gea leaves, Henderson becomes the number one. Am I totally opposed to Henderson being the number one? Not particularly. You know, fresh start, fresh goalkeeper, maybe. But I think right now, I want to see this guy tested at the top level. I wouldn't fancy a loan to buy move because I worry about what's next after De Gea. You know, De Gea's not eternal. You know, we can't have him forever. But I would like to think that he would stay, and Henderson will probably be on loan. It should have been on loan this season, but wasn't for whatever reason. So I would do that. Heaton would be staying for me, probably as the number 2. Or they sign number 2 and Heaton sort of the reserve goalkeeper. And Lee Grant, I think it's time for him to leave. You know, there's no reason. Whether or not he wants a coaching role at the club, goalkeeper coach, or whether he goes on and finds another club to play for, I think it's best for him just to move on. Okay, on to defenders then. We are going to start with Mr. Philip Jones, and I think it is time for Phil Jones to move on for me. He's just not at the level now. Unfortunately, injuries, you could say, killed his career. He had a lot of potential, very injury prone, fallen out of favour. Don't think he suits the need of the new manager, so I would be getting rid of him. Telles, realistically, I think you keep him. You know, it's season 1. You can't get rid of everyone in one season. You have to remember that. You can't get rid of everyone in one season. So, if it were up to me, of course, I'd like to see him maybe moved on. But I think we have bigger pressing issues rather than Telles, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka and Dalot at the moment for year 1. Year 2, I'd expect some more players to be out the door. But I think there's more important players that need to be gone off the books and start afresh. So I think Telles, I think he's done enough to stay for now. Let's have a look. Where are we? Harry Maguire. Maguire is really tough for me because I don't see the club selling him. I don't see the club selling him. Mainly because they won't be able to recoup the money for him. You know, unfortunately with Maguire, he came into the club, massive signing fee, £80 million. Overpriced. Overpriced by Leicester. We still did the deal because he's British and we thought he was hungry. Came in, started doing alright, got the captaincy role and has kind of just floundered ever since. So, do I think Harry Maguire will go? No, I don't. Of course, I'd love to see him moved on. But I don't think the club have got the balls to move him on. And I think he might be given a chance. Will he be a starter? I wouldn't like to say. You know, new manager coming in. Everyone's going to be on a clean slate. And if he thinks that Maguire is worse than the players that he has already, or the players that he might be bringing in, then Maguire's got to be moved on. But I think for year one, Maguire will be kept. Where's another defender? Varane will be kept. He's only come in for a year. The problem with Varane is he is very much injury prone. That worries me. Potentially, some people have been linking him to a captaincy role at the club. Obviously, was involved in the captaincy regime at Real Madrid. Do I think he will be in that captaincy position? I wouldn't favour it because of the injuries. The injuries for me worry me, and I don't want a captain that's always riddled with injuries. But 100% keep. He needs to be kept in the team. The same with Lindelof, year one. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he will stay. You know what? He's better than Maguire. He puts a shift in. Captain material at United? I doubt it. I mean, he's captain for Sweden, isn't he? So potentially he's always there available. Could he be a player who, you know, with the right partner next to him, flourishes under a new manager? Who knows? But I don't see any reason to sell him. I know that these two are both donkeys, but it's season one. You can't get rid of the whole team. You know, you can't bring 20 players in and get rid of about 15 players. It's not ever going to happen. Other defenders, where are we? Wan-Bissaka. Again, I don't think Wan-Bissaka will leave. I think he will stay. For me, I'd be shoving him down at sell. I don't think he's up to the standard required for being a fullback at Manchester United. I think he's had enough time now, and I actually think since he's come here, he's regressed. I don't think he's improved in his play. I think he's got awfully lazy, jogs too much, doesn't put a sprint on, and is only good at one-on-one tackling. And I'm afraid at Crystal Palace, that might have cut the biscuit. You can put a good tackle in. But at Manchester United, to get back to the top level, you want a fullback who can offer a little bit more than just putting a one-on-one tackle in. But it's year one. I think Wan-Bissaka will stay, but I would have him sold if it were me. I swear all the defenders aren't here, but we'll continue. There's a few loanees that I'll get to at the end. They're not on this chart, but I'll get to them, don't worry. Eric Bailly, I think, will be out the door. He only signed a new contract, a year or two ago. He just isn't getting the game time. Again, very injury prone. I don't like all these injury prone players. You can't build a defence with Eric Bailly in it because you don't know whether or not he's going to do more than about 3 or 4 games without, get another multiple month injury. So I think it's time for Bailly to move on. Didn't quite work out with the transfer. Was fairly promising, but injuries killed it. And I think it's the right decision to move him on. Who else have we got? We've got Dalot, and I might as well throw Luke Shaw in there. Both of those will stay. Again, can see no reason as to why they would be sold. I think again, there are more pressing issues about players leaving the club. I don't think they'll be sold. I don't see the club selling anyone significant. I could be wrong, and they could sell a big player, and I think a big player name might need to be sold. Someone like a Rashford or someone like a Maguire. But no, I think both Dalot and Shaw will stay for year one. I think they'll be given a chance to play. I think they'll probably be the first 2 selections, or the number 1 fullbacks rather, Dalot and Shaw over Telles and Wan-Bissaka, but we'll see. Maybe one could move on a fullback. If I had to see one go, it would be Wan-Bissaka. But for me, I wouldn't sell either of them either, so I'm happy to keep them and stay. Right, moving on to the midfielders then. Let's have a look here. So, we know Lingard is going to go. His contract is up in the summer. I don't see him renewing the contract. I think it's a good time for Lingard to go. I think Lingard really should have moved on about 2 or 3 years ago. As soon as he fell out of favour in the team. Probably since Fernandes came in, actually. I think that would have been a good time for Lingard to go. I know he's had a few issues with form and stuff. But he was fantastic at West Ham when you give him the game time. And if he can be, a bigger name within that squad and flourish, then it'd be good to see him leave in the summer, go to a different club, whether that's abroad or somewhere else in the Premiership. Maybe try and push towards the Euro squad. But, yeah, I think it's time for Lingard to go. The same says with Paul Pogba as well. Again, probably a player who should have gone the last time his contract was coming up. He wanted to leave. We threw him a bootload of money on the table and he signed again. Pogba for me just hasn't worked out from the start, really, is it? He came back to Manchester United to prove a point. Has he really proven that point? For me, no, he hasn't. His ability, there's no doubting his ability. He's a fantastic player. But I just don't think his heart's in it for Manchester United anymore. I think he needs to move on while he still can, while he's in the peak of his career. Go and move maybe back to Italy, or I just think the pace of the Premiership's a bit too much for him. I don't think he can keep up with that pace. The Premiership's a tough league to play in. So I think he's better off going abroad, really. Matic has already said he wants to leave, and I think this would be a good time to move him on as well. I just think he's past it. Not good enough. The legs are gone for the Premiership now, I think, sadly, for Matic. If we'd have signed him maybe 2 or 3 years before we signed him, then, you would have got the best out of him. I think we did. I would say Matic has been a successful signing for when he was signed in. For the first couple of years, he did a job. In CDM after the initial lockdown, he did a job there in that midfield with Pogba and Fernandes. But I think it's time for him to move on. Mata, wherever he is, he's here, out of contract. He'll be moved on as well. I don't think he'll retire. I think he'll move on and maybe go back to Spain or something like that at a slower pace. Again, the legs are gone, on far too much money, time to move him on. And as you can see, there's a lot of midfielders there who have been moved on. From no fault of their own. We're not selling them. We're not recouping any money for Ligue 1, Lingard, Pogba. I think Matic has got 1 year on his contract, so maybe he'll go on an undisclosed fee, or Mata. So for all of these players being sold, you might get about 15, 20 million. I mean, I know the wages are going to be really good. Lingard, he's on about 100 grand a week. Pogba's on over 300k, I think. Mata's on about 150k. A lot of money's going to be off the wage book. The rest of midfielders, I would probably keep. Fred, I would keep. Probably not for a first team. But as a utility player, I think he's okay to go there. The same with McTominay. I'm happy to keep him. Again, probably not as a first team player. I don't think he quite cuts the mustard for that. Maybe under new tacticianship and leadership, maybe he would change. But as a bench player for those cup games or Europa League nights, I think McTominay will be useful. Van der Beek is probably a fairly clear stay. Obviously, had his time under Ten Hag already with Ajax. If they can rekindle that relationship, get Donny going, then he's going to look like a superstar, isn't he? The manager's going to look like a superstar already. He's taken Donny, the kid who came to Manchester United, fell out of favour, went on loan to Everton, didn't really do anything, comes back to United under Ten Hag. and has him flourishing. I've got no assumption that Ten Hag will use Donny, so he's a keep. Do I see any other midfielders in here? Well, yes, I do. Tire, he's a loan for me. I don't think he is ready for a football at Manchester United yet. I would like to see him on a loan, whether that be at a Premier League club or somewhere abroad where he's actually going to get played, or in the Championship. I'd like to see Tire there. And the same with Hannibal. I think it's time for Hannibal to get a loan out as well, get some first team experience, get some games under their belt, and let's reassess it in Season 2. Because you've got a lot of work to be doing with the first team. Is this team really where a youngster can come in without having any regular game time at top flight football and flourish? I don't think it is. So, those two I'd put on loan. And then for the rest of these forwards, well, Cavani is out of contract and not on loan. He'll be gone. He'll be off the door. I think he's back off to South America. This man right here, you can't really do anything with him because he can't play football at the moment anyway. And I don't think it's actually allowed. I don't think the club are allowed to get rid of him at the moment anyway. Fernandes, for me, is quite easily a keep. I think he can adjust to the new style of football, so I would be keeping him. Diallo, I wouldn't be sending him back out on loan. I'd be putting him in the squad. He's had a couple of loan moves. He's had a loan move now to Rangers. He's found his feet. He's looked good for Rangers. I think it's time to give him a chance. You spent a lot of money on the kid. You spent upwards of £30 million on this kid with add-ons. It's time to give him a chance in the team to prove himself. Jadon Sancho, I think no-brainer keep. He's only just come in. He's still finding his feet. We've seen signs that we can get him up to that best. Can we keep him there? Who knows? Alanga, of course, definitely a keep in the first team. A player who didn't need a loan, but has come into the first team and has found his feet. I see no reason why he shouldn't continue to have that spot and fight for starting positions. Martial, a very tricky one for me. The problem is, would I get rid? Do I really think Martial has a job in this squad? You know what? If it were me, it's really tricky. It's really tricky because I know there's a player in there for Martial, but is his heart still playing for Manchester United even under a new coach? You could get 30 or 40 million pound for him, so I think I'd probably get rid. I think I would get rid. Cash in. You know, he isn't happy at Manchester United. I think that's evident. So cashing in, take the money and run. I think that'd be wise from Manchester United to take the money and let him go. Ronaldo, I would like to see him stay, merely because of his impact on the dressing room. Will he stay if we don't get top 4 football? Who knows? I think he will stay out of his I think he will live out his contract. You know, he's a goal scorer. You know, he's got a wise head. He knows a lot about his football. He's probably a bit of an influence on some of these younger players in the squad, like Alanga, Sancho, Diallo, Dallo, all these younger players. And the last one on this list is Mr. Rashford. Now, what would I want to do with Rashford? Do I think that Rashford can recuperate his form at Manchester United, or do I think it's time for him to move on? The last year, he's looked like he hasn't given a toss about his football. If it were me, I would put him there. I think it's time for Rashford to move on. And that's not because I have an agenda against Rashford. It's because I just think that for whatever reason, it's just not going to work out for him at Manchester United. Ranić is going to be passing notes on to the new coach. And as much as the new coach will give it a clean sheet and a clean slate, he's going to get word on what Rashford's been like. He's going to have seen what Rashford's been playing like. Is Rashford playing to any hunger? Has he lost his ability? Has he lost his passion? I think for Rashford's career, it would be better for him to move on. But in reality, I think Rashford will stay. I don't think the club will have the balls to get rid of Marcus Rashford. He's come through the academy. I don't think they'll have the balls to get rid of him this year. Year 2, he hasn't improved. Maybe he'll be out the door. But I think realistically, this is what we could see this like. I'm going to get the other loanees out, and I'm going to tell you where I put those as well. Alright, so on to some of the loanees. And I guess the first loanee to talk about will be Brandon Williams. Now, where would I slot Brandon Williams in here? Given that every fullback I think will be kept, I think it's only right if Brandon Williams goes into the loan pot again. And I would like to see him on loan, potentially at a better club than Norwich. There's no point keeping him around the club right now. He's not going to get any game time. Especially when you got Dalot who can fill in both sides. You got Telles, you got Shaw, you got Wan-Bissaka. He's got no hope of getting in over any of those, I don't think, at the moment. So he would be on my loan list. Now, we've then got Axel Tuanzebe. A bit of an interesting one here. I think we'll buy a new centre-back in the summer, for sure. Do I think Tuanzebe will be kept? He'd be ranked probably 5th along all of them. I don't know, it's tricky because I know there's a player in Tuanzebe, but I certainly wouldn't sell him. Would I keep him or would I send him out on loan? I don't know. It's hard. It is very hard. It is very hard. But you know what? I think I would probably have to go for loan as well. I think I'd loan him out again. Somewhere where he's going to get regular playing time. Next one then is Andres Pereira. Currently on loan at Flamengo. I think that's who that is. Let me just make sure. Yes, it's Flamengo. Do I think he will come back to the squad? No, I don't. Do I think he'll be loaned? I don't see any point in loaning him. So, I think he will be sold. The same goes... Actually, no, I don't think any more players will be sold. You got Tahith Chong, who's 22. And you got Facundo Pellistri, who is 20. And I think it's good just to send them both back out on loan. I don't think any of them are really ready for first team football here at Manchester United. I'd like to see a bit more from Pellistri, maybe at a club in this country. So yeah, I would loan them both out. But yes, guys, that would be what I would do then. I don't think there's any other players. It hasn't got Garner here, which is a bit weird. Why James Garner isn't there? He's the only real noticeable player that I haven't really touched on. But I think I'd probably send Garner out on loan again. Although maybe not. If it were me, would I loan him or would I keep him? We've lost a lot of midfielders. We have lost a lot of midfielders. You know what? I'm going to keep Garner and I'm going to use him. There's going to be a lot of games next year. Europa League and all that. Possibly even worse in the Conference League if we get to 7th. So we're gonna need players. So yeah, I would probably I would keep him. But I think that is how I would see the transfer list going right now. If you guys see that any differently, then just, I guess, let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you're new. Go check me out on Twitch. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.